You have the floor for 6 minutes, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you very much, Minister, for being with us here today. Yesterday, we had a historic day in Canada where we had an incident that occurred, which has not occurred in over 100 years, whereby a private citizen was called to the bar of the House of Commons and was reprimanded for not responding to questions that were asked of him. Now, of course, I'm referring to Christian Firth, one member of the two-person company, GC Strategies, who were the main vendors in the ArriveCAN scandal. A $60 million app, a minimum of $60 million was spent on the ArriveCAN app. In fact, there are, of course, individuals who state they could have made this app for $80,000. But the person I'm referring here today, Christian Firth, he and GC Strategies made $19 million as far as it is known currently off of the ArriveCAN app. Now, my colleague in the first round of questioning to Mr. Firth asked Mr. Firth directly if the Government of Canada, at a time where there is a $52.9 billion deficit and Canadians are struggling, if the Government of Canada had asked Mr. Firth and GC Strategies to repay these funds to Canadian. And his response was no. So I'm asking you, please, Minister Anand, have you asked GC Strategies and Christian Firth for this money back for Canadians from the ArriveCAN app and from GC Strategies? Have you asked for this money back, Minister?
The Government of Canada takes allegations of wrongdoing and fraudulent activity extremely seriously. Minister LeBlanc, the minister in charge of the CBSA, specifically mentioned in the House today that there's an ongoing RCMP investigation.
Minister, have
and
you
that we
asked for the money
intend to
back?
Recoup all funds
Have you
of
asked
the
for the money
Canadian
back, Minister,
taxpayer
please? Is
once
a yes or no?
that investigation is concluded.
Are you going to ask for the money back, Minister, for Canadians?
Again, I will say that departments are expected to record a receivable in their accounts and to pursue timely and cost-effective
Minister,
collection
it's expected when we have a
actions
$52.9 billion deficit,
and that may include
continuous
overpayments.
deficits for 9 years, that you will ask for this money back on behalf of Canadians.
As
Canadians
I
are
said, the
counting on you
departments
to
are
do this.
recording receivables in their accounts, and that may include overpayments.
Minister, I'm going to
and
move on to the next
erroneous
piece, since it appears you're not willing to ask for this money back on behalf of Canadians.
That's
I
not
will
true,
move on.
actually. I just
You're not giving me a
said-
yes or no, Minister.
I actually just said that they're recorded as monies owed.
Okay,
if
then,
wrongfully
so
collected.
But have you contacted GC Strategies?
I
Christian
also
Firth?
specified that the RCMP investigation is ongoing and that they are recorded as amounts to be recovered.
So
once
you are
that
pledging here today to get that money back
is
for Canadians?
Yes, we will.
Okay, I look forward to that report in the future. And should Mr. Firth ever come back to the House of Commons, I expect him to say that this money has been asked from Canadians.
Taxpayer dollars.
I look
That's
forward
what we
to that,
do
Minister,
Treasury
as
Board
do
and the Government
Canadians.
of Canada.
Thank you. Now, as well, yesterday, Minister, we heard testimony from the same individual, Christian Firth, that he regularly met with Paul Gerard, the former CIO of the Treasury Board, outside of the office to discuss the health of his contracts. Are you concerned a top official in your department would regularly discuss contracts outside of your office? Outside of the office?
So I can take this, Minister. As normal practice and part of responsibilities of contracting with Government of Canada, public servant may meet with vendors community to discuss ongoing contracts and other subject matter items related to those contracts. Mr. Girard left the Government of Canada in December 2022. I'm committed to do more research and get back to you in writing, get back to the committee members, Mr. Chair, in writing on what we find out about those meetings as stated by Mr.
Well,
Firth.
given the outcomes, I definitely would show concern over these discussions outside of the office. Now, Minister, you were just indicating that you were taking steps to eliminate conflict of interest, yet I'm looking here at a report from last year, 2023-2024, whereby out of the 162 public servants that declared a conflict of interest, 38% of them were actually determined to be in a conflict of interest, which is an increase of 2% from the 36% before. So I'd like to ask you then, Minister, what is the value of the contracts of those 38% of public servants that were found to be in a conflict of interest?
I will start by saying that the rule is that you must disclose all conflicts of interest, any real or perceived conflict.
Indeed, and
that
38% were
those
found
must
to be in a real
assessed.
conflict of interest. So what is the value of those contracts of the employees who were found to be in a contract of interest? What are Canadians on the hook for the double dipping of these individuals?
Well, first and foremost, anybody that is not complied with the requirements in the directive will be subject to disciplinary
Okay, I'll try another
measures
question. Do we know who they work for?
up to and including
Which departments
the
do they work for,
termination
Minister?
of employment. Go ahead.
Minister, I don't know how you don't know this. We had a very serious situation with the head of Dalian, and we want to eliminate this in the future. This information should be at the top of your mind as to who is in a conflict of interest, the value of those contracts, and what departments they're working for.
Well,
Thank you
so-
very much,
If I
Mr.
may
President.
remind the
So-
honourable member, Mr. Chair, may I have a moment to remind the honourable member?
Let me just lay down some ground. Yes. So in this committee, I do allow witnesses to answer briefly. Ms. Cousier's time is up. I will hear from the minister, but it must be brief, and I'd like the answer to come from you, please.
Sure, the answer will come from me. And perhaps the honourable member is not aware, but ministers don't hire and fire members of the public service, and her questions fail to take that into account. Thank you.
Thank you very much.